Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the last session of Project, I think, for Ignite. I don't think we have any sessions tomorrow for Ignite, so I appreciate you guys coming to the last one. Hopefully, you're all here to learn about what's new with Project Web App and Project Client. So it's been an exciting week for Project because we released a bunch of new modern experiences to the service, and we're heavily focused on the kind of our vision statement, which is around getting teams to work the way they want, and then executives to get the results that they need. And we do appreciate that there are still quite a few organizations that are making use of Project Server on-prem. And hopefully you guys are now all aware there will be a 2019 release of Project Server so that teams can continue to work that way if they so choose, and work in the way that they wanted. For clarity, I do want to just make sure that before we go too far in this presentation, we aren't going to cover any of the modern experiences that we did cover in the earlier sessions on Monday and Wednesday. This is going to be 100% focused on the innovation that we've delivered into the service up until this point and what we're going to be doing for the 2019 user, both the client and the server. So if that's not what you're expecting, I will not be offended if you get up and leave. But I also want to just make sure everyone's here and excited for 2019. So is everyone excited for 2019? Awesome. So that's what I want to hear. So the one thing I want to show is our continuous PPM momentum slide. And I like this slide because it kind of illustrates the fact that in Project Online, we have a continuous delivery model. So since we've released it since the 2013 release, we've added quite a bit. And there's a lot that's changed under the hood of the product. But in addition to it, we've added things like, online, the new Power BI content pack that we added last year, at last Ignite, a bunch of resource engagement and functionality, so on and so forth. If you're familiar up to the 2016 point, that's all, standard old news. The team has been focused on probably, I would say, 3 things in the existing kind of classic PWA experience since we last chatted at Ignite last year. And those 3 things are perf and scale. So we made a significant bump in the scaling of the service up to 30,000 projects. But even since that announcement, we've done a ton of work in the service to continue to improve it. Hopefully, folks have seen the improvements, in particular around creating projects and saving projects and publishing projects that we've done over the summer. We've cut the time down quite a bit. We've done quite a bit of work around supporting GDPR for our European citizens, but it's a great value for everyone so that they're able to understand the data we have on them and be able to get that data deleted if they don't like us having that data. And then lastly, the team has been heavily focused on making sure we have a great accessibility story for everybody across the service in the client. Just so you guys are aware how classic kind of PWA works is that we are constantly pushing innovation into Project Online. So if you're a Project Online user today, you have everything. That's how it works. You have it all. If you're an on-prem customer, you basically have a version of the service at a certain point in time. So how it works is our marketing team comes to us in engineering and says, hey, I want to ship the next version of Project Server. We say, that's great. When do you want to ship it? And then about 6 months before they want to ship it, we take a version of the online and fork. So here you'll see that 2019 forked just before we did all that great Project Create performance. But everything before that will come to the 2019 release. And at this point, I'm going to introduce you to Shubha, who is going to walk you through all of this in detail for the next 40 minutes or so. So Shubha, you want to take it from here?
Cool. Thank you, Chris. Hello, everybody. Thanks for taking the time out on a Thursday evening. Promise I won't hold you back too much. I know everybody wants to go to Universal. Yeah. I'll walk you through the most recent innovations that we have made to Project Online and Project Server 2019 first. We will have time for Q&A at the end of the session. Yeah. So I'd like to start off with improved tools for team members. As we all know, team members are most critical for any project. And to increase the productivity of the team members and the project as a whole, what we have done is we have brought in advanced email notifications that are delivered to all the team members as well as project and resource manager. This basically helps them keep abreast of what is coming, what is on their plate, and what is going off the hook. Basically, if there is something late or overdue, it helps notice them sufficiently in advance. The other thing that we have been focusing on, as Chris said, is accessibility. The main goal is to empower everyone and to create a very inclusive environment. And accessibility does just that. So accessibility in PWA basically targets, or rather empowers, the visually impaired, the motor impaired, as well as the partially blind. So the visually impaired, we have something called the screen reader support. The screen reader support enables them to work, edit, and view projects. Then we have keyboard support. So keyboard support basically helps the motor impaired people to go ahead and work with projects efficiently. And then we have color contrast and we have contrast ratio for the partially blind people. So I'd like to show a quick demo basically. This is the experience of somebody who has, who's visually impaired.
Currently, I have opened project details page and I'll be filling the details related to my project. First, I'll be navigating in the form and I'll be filling some of the data here.
Description, group, project name, editing Taj 12, required, Taj 12 select, end of line. 3. Description, editing accessibility, end of line, tooltip, bit space, by, cap E, S, T, space, test, M, start date, editing January 5th, 2017, required, January 5th, 2000 and select a date from the calendar, button collapsed, finish date, December 5th, 2017, owner, read only, administrator admin browse, button, owner, start description.
So I have filled all the details here. So I'll be going with saving this form.
S, alert, group, processing, saving, alert, group, save completed successfully.
The highlight of this page is whenever narrator is going onto a required field, narrator instantly announcing or highlighting it as a required field. So narrator user will never miss the item which is a required item. And the other item is like string announcement. Whenever we are having any alert or the group saying a save completed successfully or saving or anything important message on the screen, narrator instantly announcing it. Currently, I have opened project.
Okay, so there we saw that narrator basically announces mandatory fields. This enables a person who's visually impaired to know that there are mandatory fields and go ahead and input the necessary information. The next feature that I'm going to talk about is an excellent example of how we have incorporated customer feedback and provided the tools. So this is shared team task assignments. So many a times we have projects where we have project team members and we also have designers working on the project. So what happens is before we had this improvement, we used to have tasks that could be assigned only to one person at a time. Now with this new improvement, we can have tasks that can be assigned to multiple people. For example, a designer comes through and says, hey, I want to work on that task, and it's assigned to a pool. And once he assigns the task to himself, Then there could be another project member who says who wants to work on the same task, and this could be assigned to them. So basically, we have a pool from where people can assign themselves different tasks. So I'll just demo this quickly. Can you see the screen? Okay. So here I have created 3 particular teams, and there is somebody outside of these teams who wants to go ahead and assign a task to themselves. So they can go ahead and add, Megan here wants to add, and she can go ahead and add the team task to herself. And, okay. So she had added it, and after that, we can come back here and we can see that this will be assigned to everybody. It's still open for assigning to other people, that's what I'm trying to say. So other people can still assign it to themselves. So the next one is unique project IDs. So every project now can be associated with a unique feature, unique ID. So prior to this, what used to happen is a project used to be associated with a custom name. But now the names can always change. So that is the reason this new feature enables every project to be associated with a unique ID to themselves. So that's a huge step for us. And then we have something called as time-phased reporting. So what time-phased reporting is it enables a project manager or anybody on the project to view the project details in terms of weeks, months, or quarters, or even based on the physical time period. So prior to this, we used to have the option of viewing by assignment or by date. And customer feedback made us rethink the whole thing, and now we give you the ability to go ahead and specify the nature of viewing that particular data. For example, right here I have, I'm viewing the capacity planning of 2 resources here, and it's in terms of quarters. So I can go ahead and try to view in terms of weeks, which comes up, or in terms of days. And it's pretty snappy. It's very fast. It's not like, this is one of those things, a huge performance improvement we have made over the years. We also have increased custom field limits. So basically for project custom fields and for timesheet custom fields, we have increased custom fields limit, and now it is 450 for them. So that's another huge improvement. So now I would like to talk about performance. So performance has been a major focus for us over the past couple of years. And we have snappy responsiveness to pages. When you work with PWA pages now, you can see how fast it is. I'll show you quickly a demo after this, but it's really, really snappy. Plus, we have programmatic action. Basically, you can work with workflows, and you can also debug workflows now. We also have resource engagement APIs. So the resource engagement APIs helps the resource managers and the product managers to align with each other. And also, since this is extensible, you can extend it to third-party products as well. We have been focusing on performance over the past few years, and when you work with PWA, you can definitely see the results of that, actually. And finally, you come to GDPR support here. GDPR is General Data Protection Regulation, and this is one of the things where the European Union basically wants to give back, intends to give back the rights to the personal data to the users, to the customers. So we have worked very hard to ensure that all these rights are ensured. So what are personal data? So basically for project, it could be the project owner name, the assignments, and the timesheet. So those are some of the personal data, and also we have telemetry. So what we intend doing, or what we have done, is given back the rights over this data for viewing, editing, deleting the data back to the customer. And this has been enforced in May 2018, 25th of May to be precise. You can get more details about how this has been implemented or how this can work with Project Online as well as Project Server with the links. So the deck will be shared and the links are available online. So now I'll move on to Project Standard and Project Professional, basically the client. So here, I would like to call out one feature which excites me, which is the timeline bar and the labels. Basically, the way you can view timeline, you can go ahead and customize it. So you can have a summary, you can add labels to the timelines, and you can make it as fancy as you want it to be. So let me quickly show you. Maybe my fancy is not your fancy, but still you can customize it according to your needs. That's what I'm trying to say. So you can add bar labels here. And so that's something you can do. And then you can go ahead and change the end date and the last date. You can set the timeline dates. Also, you can use text styles here and change all the fonts, and you can choose whatever works for you, whatever is and you can change it. So the timeline tasks basically, and also you can link the tasks together, and that helps to track back the tasks with the successors and the predecessors basically. So that's another cool feature here we have. The second part is accessibility, which I already touched upon. So the accessibility improvements which have been made for the client are on the same lines as that have been made for the PWA or the web browser. Okay. So now that I have spoken to you about the updates or the new tools, you must be definitely wanting to try this out, and you would want to know all the requirements and what are the things that we need. So they are Windows Server 2016 and 2019. And then the database server is SQL Server 2016 and SQL Server 2017. Also, if you are going to be using the Cube services, then you want SQL analysis to be installed there. And in terms of the browsers that are supported, we have Edge, i11, Chrome, and Firefox. So for the project desktop, one of the major things I would like to call out is it's click to run. There is no MSI. So that's a major thing I want to call out here. And it's 64-bit by default. And the operating system is Windows 10 or the next release of Windows Server. So how do you upgrade to Project Server 2019? These are some of the ways. There is no in-place upgrade. You have to go through 2016 to get to 2019. You can upgrade your resource plans, and PowerShell is one of the most commonly used upgrade methods. And compatibility with the client is Project Professional 2019, 2016, and the Project Online desktop client. So this brings me to Q&A. I hope this audience is excited about what are the new offerings for Project Server 2019. And you have any questions, please go ahead. Yes, please.
Any project server which has built-in services integrate using
Sorry, did you hear?
So one question is, do people mind coming to the mics to ask questions? Because it gets recorded, plus we're streaming the session. So that way everyone who's streaming right now.
Hello. Any project server with Visual Studio Team Services integration that supports natively?
So our plan for integrating with what's now Azure Boards is through the roadmap functionality that we shared earlier in the week. We don't have any plans to have a new connector between TFS and Project Server. There is a blog out there that kind of explains the rationale to why we made this decision, but we are relying on partners to kind of fill that gap in the foreseeable future.
I just wanted to ask about the Project Professional version for Project 2019. Does it have to be the 2019 version of Project Pro, or can I still use the Project Pro 2016? What version do I have to use?
To connect to server,
Yeah, for Project Server on-prem, if we go to 2019,
you can connect with the 2016.
I can use it.
Yes, you can.
I have also one question. On Monday, we saw we can probably open modern projects also with the project client. Will this also be possible with project client 2019, or is it not possible with that?
That's a good question. We don't have an answer. So just be clear, you're asking, will Project 2019 open modern projects?
Yeah.
I honestly, that hasn't been determined.
Okay, good, thanks.
How do we support customers that currently need the MSI with the loss of the MSI if those systems don't have internet access?
You know the answer to that? That's a great question.
Yeah.
We rely on the Office Share. This is not an excuse. We rely on the Office Share team that does all the kind of the setup and configuration of all the Office apps, including Project. I believe we can post back in the session, in the comments. So I'll take it as a follow-up action to see if I can figure out the answer to that, because it's a great question. So the question is, if you're disconnected, how do you continue to make sure that you have the licensing check enforced? Are these people disconnected for a very long period of time?
Yes, they're never connected.
Never.
So they just use the MSI to install.
Yeah, that's our answer right now, is for them to always use the MSI. We don't provide click to run to those users.
Okay, so let me follow up, and then I'll try to respond in the session tech community. Great question.
Hi, Chris, super. Just a related question to that. If the Office products are 32-bit by default,
64-bit by default.
is it?
Yeah,
Going forward.
64-bit, yeah.
But now you can install 32-bit, right?
So today, it's like in the 2016 release, it's 32 by default, and the user can choose 3264. So the default will be 64.
So if they got 32-bit 2016 Office products, and they install 2019 64-bit, how would that work?
I assume they're removing the 2016.
No. So they got 2013. Sorry, they've got 2016
Yep,
on their laptops,
yep.
and they want to install the 2019, which is so the Office products was 32-bit, and they want
They can still get the 32-bit version.
of 2019.
I believe so. It's just the default.
The default is 64-bit.
Okay.
State,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
And the nice thing, just as a comment, with us moving to click to run, except for when you're in a completely disconnected scenario, I don't know the answer. The nice thing is the support matrix is simplified quite a bit, because for project users and Visio users, there was a lot of complexity between if you had the click to run version to the MSI version of Office and the compatibility of the both. So the nice thing about just having click to run technology going forward is that it resolves and simplifies that support matrix.
I have a question here. For our main complaint about Project Server is the publishing take a long time. Is any improvement in this version?
So we've made significant, you want to?
Yeah, I'm just going to show you.
So we have made significant investments in that scenario, in addition to the save scenario. Because a lot of times when you click publish, you may have a save. So both save and publish, there's been a lot of work done to fine tune that experience. Now,
So I'll just quickly show this for you right now. So here we have a checked out project, and I just edited it quickly. So now I'm going to try to publish it online, so you can see how fast it is.
Still saving, right?
It's already been submitted and it's published.
Now there's an important thing. See that toast notification right now before it disappears?
Right.
One thing we are doing is giving the interactivity back to the user much sooner. So in the existing product, now you can start editing the project. However, you could have started editing much sooner once that toast comes up. So we've done two things. We've sped up the jobs themselves quite a bit, plus we've removed the dependency of waiting for the jobs to complete 100%. They only have to get to a certain step, and then the interactivity comes back to the user so they can start editing the schedule much sooner.
Yeah, see, we saw a lot of good things for the project online. Is this 2019 will be the last one on premise, or any improvement in the future? Any
So-
release in the future?
That will be determined in the future. As I showed you on the third slide, how we kind of develop
Right.
versions of Project Server is basically forks of that code. That will be a decision driven by the business at a pointed time in the future. So I honestly don't know, but for right now, I foresee a next version until we're told otherwise, so.
Anyway, thank you, Super. I'm from Bosch. We had
Are you?
Awesome.
Okay, nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks.
A related question to that. So, given that you made improvements, is there any difference in the architecture guidance for scaling scenarios from
Nope.
pretty much same? Okay.
No, they're the same as the 2016 release. Other than it scales better and performs better. But in terms of actual configuration, no, there's no difference.
The current project online professional comes with 2016 client, right? So when do we start getting 2019? Do I need to do anything or automatically I can? How does that work?
No, can you?
So the question is, in the service,
The project online professional license, if I buy it, comes with Project Pro 2016 client.
no, it actually comes with a slightly different version. It comes with Project Online Desktop for Office 365, which I know is a nice little
Oh,
term. So it's actually not the 2016 release. So the innovation that Shubha walked us through is actually already available in the client today, in the click-to-run subscription version. So the nice thing about being in the service, both for the service and the client, is that it's continuous innovation, and we continuously ship things as it comes available. So the subscription users already have it. That being said, your organization may have chosen to install the 2016 release for you, and that can connect to the service if you have the subscription.
yeah, we do have some.
In which case, you'd have to, yeah, if you have the perpetual version on your desktop, you would need to speak to your organization on when they plan to move you.
And we also have PWA that is on-premise 2016. So is there any in-place upgrade for that?
No.
There is no in-place upgrade?
You have
From
to.
2016 to 2019?
No, can see that, yeah.
Now that's very similar to what we've done with previous releases. So it doesn't mean we don't have upgraders to get you to the 2019 release. It just means you need to stand up an additional 2019 SharePoint project farm, and when you do DB attach, it will get upgraded.
So it's similar to the 2013 to 2016 upgrade that you did. So it's pretty much the same, 2016 to 2019.
We just installed 2016. So if you want to migrate to 2019, we need to set up a separate instance of server and install there and move the project.
Move the database.
Database, yeah, it's fast. It's pretty fast.
It's even easier than the last time, because last time we had the project DB and the content DB, and you attached, and then we'd suck it into the content DB. This time it's just in the content DB. So when you move your content DB and attach it to the 2019 farm, it gets upgraded.
Okay, thank you.
Little easier.
No,
This is the same upgrade as SharePoint.
SharePoint. So, yeah, we'll, yeah, it's, yeah. Cool.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Everyone excited for Universal? Except for everyone who's live streaming. Haha, we're going to Universal.
Cool.
Wow.
Thank you all for stopping by. We have project
yeah.
T-shirts if you haven't picked them already. So even if you have, yeah, feel free to grab one now. So yeah, cool.
Forgot about the shirts.
Shirts, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Come grab a shirt if you want a shirt.